Oh, yes. Welcome back into the old fashioned show on a Thursday. It's Alex Dunlap and Cody Carpentier with you here today. Anwar Richardson going through some ring of hell, I guess, right now with some sort of AAU basketball tournament or soccer camp or something. Or wait, no, actually, I think this is a different kind of scenario, Cody. I think he actually said he was going to Mexico, going down to Cancun to do something with his kid at a water park. So, uh, lots of big shout out to Anwar. He'll be back here tomorrow whenever I'm actually out of here. Man, we got a bunch of stuff to get to today, Cody. A big official weekend coming up that we are here to preview. Just looking at these guys who are coming in. Dude, four wide receivers, four offensive linemen, some really good players on defense, some of which that Texas already has on board, others of which Texas is looking to get on board. Also, Lance Jackson, the defensive end, the Texas commitment, other Texas commitments like Ricky Stewart Jr. Going to be here in town. Just and super big targets still left out there. Whenever you look at these guys, what is it that sticks out to you? What's the most important thing for the weekend? What is it like? What is your big headline for the official visit weekend coming up?
I think first and foremost, some of the best players, Decorian Moore, that's a big one. Like it feels like that's a swaying weekend. Is like they want to focus their attention on bringing in the best receiver. But I don't think we're going to get a result. We're not going to get a commitment or anything like that this weekend. So that is what it is. Lance Jackson at the edge, like everyone knows, if you go read your article or your column up on Orange Bloods, people are saying, this should be a higher 4-star, maybe a 5-star prospect by the end. He's already committed. But the one that I want to kind of watch is Brandon Brown, who's been making the rounds. He's been committed to Texas since December. And he's been making the rounds, and it seems like he's not really committed. Like he's been at LSU, he's been at Tennessee, he's been here, he's been there, and I want to see what the instant analysis is on like when he's done. If we can catch up with him and get some analysis on how his visit went and what he thinks, and if he has I'm fully pot committed, or kind of what the thought is. That's the one interesting one for me. Though everyone wants to talk about Decorian Moore. I get that. Lance Jackson, I get that. But Brandon Brown is the one I'm probably most interested in, just to see coming out of the weekend how it compares to what he's been putting on socials, from the Tennessee visits, the LSU visits, and stuff like that.
Well, it's just look, man. I think with the Brandon Brown, it's interesting because Texas also gets a visitor in Kevin Wynn, who I just did the other day, and excuse me if I don't know the exact name of his high school because he's from out of state, but I'll just pull it up real quick. Kevin Wynn, I don't know, Greensboro, Georgia, Greene County. I guess the high school is Greene County Pie. I'm not sure, but it doesn't look like certainly whenever you watch the huddle clips and stuff like that, from the camera work and from some of the angles and stuff, it looks like a little bit of a I don't know. It doesn't look like the brand of football like you would see in DFW and stuff like that. It doesn't mean it's not a high level of competition, but just like the stadiums and stuff, the bleachers look a little bit different out there.
Hey, Alex, they look a little different everywhere outside of Texas. I will just say that.
Right. Anyways, but he looks like a good player too. It brings up just with the whole defensive tackle thing. Man, Ketch had this article that he just put up that I'm just looking at on Orange Bloods right now. Have you seen this about how he's like, after all this time, is the Texas interior D line underrated? I don't think that's right. I think this is the whole flat circle thing, and we're on the other side of the flat circle. It's going to come right back to there are problems along the Texas interior defensive line. But it was interesting to me that Pro Football Focus has Alfred Collins as his third best returning defensive tackle. You've started doing your summer scouting on these guys for the 2025 NFL draft. How can that be true?
I haven't even gotten to Alfred Collins in the summer scouting aspect of things. And I will say, though I did see this.
Yeah, but when you look at the landscape of the SEC and the other players, how is he the third best?
I don't think he is. I did see the PFF post they made the other day. It was PFF College. They said Alfred Collins, they made a special post. You know how they do like the whatever. It's, the picture of Trevor Lawrence and he's got the highest QBR returning to football, whatever. Alfred Collins, career high 80.6 pass rush grade in 2023. First among returning SEC defensive tackles. That's the graphic first among returning SEC defensive tackles.
That's what did he do? Like, I'm just gonna pull up the deep dig real quick and just see. It's like, did I know that there were two plays yesterday that stick in my mind where he got in the backfield and he was able to sort of bat down passes and stuff like that. But
Yep.
I just wanted to look like
13% pass rush win rate, 28th best in the country among inside defensive linemen. Like, sure. It
I
definitely
don't know
makes sense.
about. I mean, dude, he
next in
played
line,
300.
but
He only played 305 snaps last year, which is it's about 100 less than guys like Sweat and Murphy and all that. But he had 2 batted passes, he had 10 pressures, he had 2 quarterback hits. I have Alfred Collins for 2 sacks. It doesn't seem right to be. I mean, maybe other teams in the SEC are dealing with the fact that they don't have much of an interior presence. It's like if he's the best returning interior presence as a pass rusher, Alfred Collins.
So they got what? Nazir Stackhouse at Georgia. LSU lost both their defensive tackles. Arkansas has a defensive lineman, but I think he's an edge rusher.
Florida's got a guy.
Florida's got I can't ever say that guy's last name.
Yeah, I thought you would know it.
I can't say it. It's yeah, I'm not even gonna. I'll wreck his last name if I try to say it. Tennessee's got an edge rusher. Arkansas has a defensive lineman, but I think he's a defensive edge. I think that's the thing. I think all these guys are edge rushers. I don't think they're interior.
And Dominic Williams I guess Dominic Williams isn't considered. Oh, is he returning? Is he considered returning?
No, because he's TCU. He's returning, but he's not returning from the SEC. So they get to manipulate that. Walter Nolan.
Texas isn't returning from the SEC.
Technically, but Walter Nolan probably, his stats probably haven't been quite that level. Probably, who the one is Deion Walker from Kentucky. He's the big boy this year. He's like 345. He's kind of a wide center build.
Yeah.
Very good on his feet, though. I mean, there's some good defensive linemen.
So is that?
But I don't think you put off
about Collins.
Yeah, I don't like.
Is he fine?
Again, I haven't looked at him this summer, but like just on everything we saw last season, Alex, and that's exactly what you have to take it from, right? Like every single week, it was milk carton, right? We were wondering when he was going to come through and give you a bigger game. So I'm not sure how you can come in right now. I'm looking at the mock draft database and I'm scrolling. And I know there's no like 7-round mocks right now, but his ADP is 176 with a peak of 104. 104 is like the first couple picks of the 4th round. So you're talking about fourth to 6th round, 4th to early 6th round right now. And that, he's like the 30th defensive tackle on this list. So I think really what that is what the answer is, it comes down to, that's just a PFF stat that just happens to be the way it is. It just happens to be that he has the highest pass rush grade returning at the defensive tackle position. But
I'm not sure that you can depend on him to just be totally fine.
Taking that graphic and reading it and just posting it is like, he's going to return and be Sweat. Like, he's not.
Well, that's my question. Like, have we gotten ourselves into this mode where we're comparing everybody to T Sweat and to Byron Murphy instead of just comparing them to what everybody else has in the SEC?
Correct. I think that's the problem.
I think that, if that's the case, maybe all this hand wringing hadn't been too big a deal, but it is an important thing to consider. 2 big defensive linemen on campus right now. When you've watched Brandon, like, you've watched Brandon Brown. Like, what do you think about him as a player? And do you think that, do you feel like they got out of a sort of a sweat in the last couple weeks whenever, he got to go visit Bo Davis, who he originally committed to here at Texas? That was always, he's an out-of-state guy. if a coach like Bo Davis, for as much as we always give him trouble for being a bad recruiter and all that, he did have a big hand in this guy's recruitment. Um,
It
what
is
do you?
weird though.
Yeah,
Like, it is weird seeing like the him committing in December, and then it just feels like it's not in his bio. He's not flaunting it. And like Jason had said that at one point he hadn't even been on campus, and then he did come to campus just a few months ago. And he's been, all the stuff with LSU and Bo Davis. When I watch him, I actually in my comp form is a former LSU guy, Tyler Shelvin, who went on to be a Cincinnati Bengal. I think he's got great power, footwork. I think he's got a good motor. I kind of called him a running back in defensive lineman's body. I think he has great footwork, power, like I said, off the line of scrimmage with a great motor, great strength. I think his length may be a limiting factor to the next level, but it's a good defensive tackle. I don't think he's a borderline 4-star. I don't think he's a 4-star personally. I don't think he's a 4-star
you
defensive
don't
tackle.
you don't think
I
he's a
think
4-star?
no, I think he's really good, but I don't think he's a 4-star. I think he's high end 3-star. Yeah.
Should Texas be recruiting guys like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's like, I think
I
it's
think he
fine.
looks
Like
like a
there's
4-star.
certain guys. Yeah. I mean, I think he's a board. Again, the frame, what's he listed at here? 6'1", 286. Is that what they have him listed
Oh,
at?
is that it? Okay, I thought he was a slight bit bigger than that.
Yeah, he's 6'1", 286. Like I don't think Rivals has him as a 5.8 4-star. I think he's closer to the low end of the 4-star, high end 3-star than he is.
I think
Closer to
that's
the 5-star.
fine. Especially now that you point out that he's 6'1", 286.
Like I said, I just think
I
he's
thought he was at least 300 pounds.
I don't want to call him a tweener because I don't think he's a tweener, but I just think he's a odd bodied defensive tackle, and that's not a bad thing. It's just my analysis on the guy in the position, and looking at other defensive tackles in the class, and maybe I have a different. I like DJ Sanders a little bit better. I like Floyd Guidry, who committed to TCU the other day. I like him a little bit better. I like Dylan Battle, who is 6'2", 315. I like him a little better, even though I think he's a little bit more raw. Like, I think Brown's fine. Do I think he's worth the like? I think we've made a lot about it on shows and on some pieces on Orange Bloods about how big of a deal it is that, Bo Davis is trying to pull him away. I don't think it's like losing a Lance Jackson. I don't think it's like losing a Colin Simmons. I don't think it's like losing one of these guys. I think it's important because the layout of the defensive tackle position at Texas right now, I think it's important to bring a guy like him in and have the depth and have a strong piece of depth. But I don't. Does that make sense? I don't think it's a massive, colossal loss.
Well, no, it is, but you're right. It's not because of it. It isn't because of Brandon. It isn't because of It isn't because the initials BB. It's because the initials DT. Right? You need
Correct.
the defensive tackles. It didn't like you don't need Brandon Brown, but Brandon Brown happens to play that position. I have you watched Kevin Wynn at all? Because I picked him.
I have not. I'd love to hear what you think
not
about
sure.
him, though.
So Kevin Wynn, and maybe you can go on Twitter and just see if when I'm talking about him, like, can you go on Twitter and see if he's got a Twitter and maybe he's put up some highlights or something that we could share, and you could, because I'm not sure. Can we share Huddle?
Yeah, you can share stuff like that.
I think we can.
You just can't share YouTube. If you share YouTube, then they'll copyright you or
Okay,
actual TV.
Let me just. I'll go ahead and put it on Kevin Wynn because I'd like for people to see. Dude, I think he's good. He also kind of. I guess he kind of goes by Juju. But anyway, here's Kevin Wynn, and what I've said about him, as you can see here, very dense, very very dense. As far as his body size, very very dense with a really good anchor there through the lower base. You can really tell that he is that he's a player with a lot of natural strength, really good as far as the way that he's put together, the way that he can take on blockers. He's got a really, really good explosive first step and ability his ability. I think you can see it right here. I think this is a good one where you can really see him press. No, that's just a good, that's a nice swim move and kind of get off. But I really like and just a suplex there. Watch this one. Watch this ability to press off. Okay, that's a different one. There just a lot of these where you can just see the strength that he has through his lower base with the ability to press off, diagnose to either side, and then he takes really good angles to the ball carrier. Right, he's like I said, it looks like a different kind of style of high school program that he might play at here.
1A football, 2A football.
But he definitely looks kind of, gosh. I mean, the guy looks like a man among boys with the way that he just ragdolled that offensive guard right there. You almost feel kind of bad for him. But here you see the foot speed. You see he can move pretty well on his own. That's a man who's 6 foot. What was he? 6 foot? 6'4", 320 pounds. So we're not, this is a guy that's a lot bigger than Brandon Brown was. This is a big time guy to have on campus, Cody.
Carries his weight extremely well.
If Texas is able to get in on the thick of this guy's recruitment, it's like basically whenever you look at a player like this, Kevin Wynn, it's like if you can get him as a recruit, you can either do it as a recruit or you can do it. You can go after this same kind of player a year from now after they've gone to their first college and they haven't got on the field, and you got to take a little bit of a gamble on somebody in the transfer portal that had this kind of college, this kind of high school tape, right? And then you're like, well, why didn't he play at Georgia? Well, they have a bunch of guys in front of him and stuff, and he wants out. He wants a fresh start, and you're gonna have to look at him like that, right? If you can get that kind of player now, why not get that player now? So I don't know, man. It's like he's open to coming to an official visit here. Jason doesn't seem to think that it's a very likely thing. But dude, it's like Anwar said yesterday. If Texas at this point can't just pull a couple rabbits out of a hat with dudes like this, when are they going to be able to?
After you win a natty.
Is that it? Is that the next step? Like you just have to.
That's the next step.
Okay.
Because once you do that, you got the Georgia thing, right? It's like everybody just gets, everyone from the state of Georgia just gets given to like they're going to Georgia, and that's kind of what the future cast with this guy is like 78% Georgia. He's from Georgia. Like they're probably not going to let him out of town. Now he said 4 official visits. This is the third one this weekend. The first one was to Georgia. So I don't know. I personally haven't heard his name quite as much as Brandon Brown's name. Brandon Brown, of course, is committed. Based on that tape right there, which I've literally watched none of Kevin Wynn until you pulled that up right there. I prefer Kevin Wynn.
Oh, yeah. I prefer it too. It's like it's honestly comparing Kevin Wynn to Brandon Brown. It isn't quite like this, but it's a little bit like comparing the meat that you get at the grocery store to the meat that you get at Texas Beef Traders. Dude, I can't wait for Cody to get into town before we go to SEC Media Days. Texas Beef Traders is, I've already told Darren, it's the first place I'm taking Cody because Cody's a complete meathead carnivore. And he's gonna love it at Texas Beef Traders because look, I went into Texas Beef Traders yesterday. My son was I told each of my kids, you guys can each pick one dinner for the next couple of nights because we were out of food at the house. My daughter wanted chicken wings. And my son, we were up there at the counter getting the chicken wings at Whole Foods, and he pointed to these sausages, and he said, I want to get those sausages. And I said, oh, no, son. We're not going to get sausages here at Whole Foods. We're going to go right after this to Texas Beef Traders and get their beef sausage because that's the best. Straight from Mason, Texas, ranch direct. Everything that you could ever imagine as far as an experience there at the store. If you go there, I can't wait to show Cody. They're just going to bring out steaks. And they're going to bring out all kinds of stuff. And you're just going to be able to eat and eat and eat. If you want a burger, you want some steaks, glasses of wine, beers, whatever it is. And look, I understand if you can't get into Lakeway. It's fine. You want the best beef that you can get, though. No steroids, no injections, none of this cockamamie mRNA vaccines, no vaccines, period. Just bovine nutritionists making sure that this is the best beef that you'll ever have. It's cheaper than the grocery store. You're supporting local businesses. You're eating food that you know where it comes from. Good, clean protein at Texas Beef Traders. But if you can't get out to Lakeway, take 10% off of your price for hearing about it here. Just call up there and talk to Darren. He'll just bring it to you. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. And of course, I got to talk about Eric Sells Homes DFW. Look, Eric Torres, very, very rich. He doesn't get this rich by not being super good at what he does. You hear Almore talk about it all the time. Front to back, man, from the very front of the transaction to the very end of the transaction, he's going to be there with you holding your hand. It's a tough marketplace right now as far as buying homes, selling homes. You got interest rates. Isn't that right? Is it the time to buy right now? Are prices going to go up? Are they going to go down? What's going to happen? Like, everyone knows that you have these thoughts. You don't think Eric Torres knows how to help you through this? Eric sells homes, DFW, buying and selling made easy right there in the heart of DFW area. Make sure and give him a call and let him know that you need his help. Eric Torres. You can get the QR code right there. And also, of course, thanks to everybody in the Specs chat line. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Let's hear quickly from our good friends at Specs.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right, so there we go. Cody Carpentier. What do you got there? What is that?
Those are ribeyes right there.
Oh.
And if you follow along on my Instagram at Carpentier NFL, you can watch. This is what I did last night.
Oh, wow. How did they turn out? You're cooking over some real wood fire there. Total carnivore style.
That's some cherry wood right there, baby. That's carnivore.com.
Yeah, dude. I think
And
it's
then,
South Carolina. You got some of that easy cherry wood to get, huh?
Look at that.
Oh yeah, Sonny. That's good.
So that was last night. That was not Texas Beef Traders, but I wish it was. I wish it was. Eventually when they get the delivering down, I'm gonna be ordering me some Texas Beef Traders, some fat 2-inch ribeyes right there.
I can't wait till you come in and like you're gonna. It's gonna be one of these things like getting to eat that interstellar barbecue, man. It's just a whole different thing. Is there a favorite recruit that you have that you've watched that you might want to like let the people know about?
Can we just talk about Lance Jackson for a minute?
Oh yeah,
because the question I think the question, and I especially saw it, on your column over at Orange Bloods. People are like, when's this guy going to get his due respect? As far as his rating goes, he's a 5.9 right now on Rivals, 4-star, 82nd ranked player in the nation, 4th at the defensive end position. And I did my work on him a couple months ago. And I thought he had relentless burst off the edge, poses great extension, ability to hold up offensive linemen while holding the edge in the run game. I think he brings a great combination of strong side to press pass rusher while having length dominating the run game. I think he's a little technically raw while bending the edge, but I think he's an Adonis of an athlete. And I kind of comped him to like a George Karlaftis. And I think his like special trait is just being a combo player with great length and burst. And I wanted to ask you, because I see you right up here. Like, do you have a comparison for this guy? Like, do you look at him as a 5-star? Because that's the comments we've seen. Like, I've watched shows with Ketch and Chad, and they've talked about Lance Jackson and Jason as well, bringing up, the idea of Lance eventually getting that 5th star. Do you think he's worthy of that?
Yes, I think so. I think so for sure. I mean, I mean, Karlaftis. I guess that's a decent. I'm trying to look up how big was Karlaftis?
I want to see was like I want to say is out of high school. He was like, I want to say was what, 261, 6'4", 261.
What about coming out of college?
Coming out of college, he was like 285.
Why is it Karlaftis doesn't seem like the right for me? But I haven't thought about a comp.
Karlaftis was he was a 5.9 Rivals 4-star, 14th defensive end, at 14th ranked at his position, 137th in the country. Went to Purdue. He's from Indiana. 6'4", 260.
So Jason's saying that Lance Jackson right now is 260.
Yeah, 6'6", 260. He's longer.
And dude, that's the thing. Okay, so that's why, Cody. Like, I mean, even if he's a little bit raw, it's just whenever you look at he's very coordinated already, right? You're talking about a guy like what? He throws a 95-mile-per-hour fastball. He's like I wrote about, man. It's like a lot of times these big defensive end types and stuff. Like take like Charles Omenihu whenever he came in. Oh, have you seen, by the way, all the rehab he's having from his ACL? Have you watched any of his Twitter stuff? I guess you're not watching Charles. We follow each other on Twitter, so I see it all the time. But he's doing a bang up job, dude. He's doing like the plyo squats on one leg that I don't think I could do on my ACL. That's perfectly fine. I'm just not strong enough. But anyway, but whenever he first came in, it was always like, well, what are you going to do? Because this dude looks like a Great Dane puppy with like these big hands and big feet, but he's just like, he's uncoordinated. He's falling all over himself. That's not Lance Jackson. He looks like a proportional, well put together, coordinated player, right? Just, it's more of this stuff where it's like, I do kind of like I think he's got good pass rush moves.
Yeah.
I think he's got good pass rush moves. I just think he's a great athlete and a baller, man. I think that he is really, really, really a good player. But what I like most about him is, it's just his natural athleticism, his core, and it just his core. He's 6'6", 260, and for the way that he moves and the way that he bends, I think it just points to such a terrific upside. To me, whenever I wrote about him after he first committed, I'm just like, what do you guys do? Like, why is there not a celebration, like a Malik Jefferson type of celebration for this dude? Why are we?
Because he's not the number one. Like I want to go watch these three guys that are listed ahead of him. One committed to Michigan, Notre Dame. It's Bryce Davis, Christopher Burgess, and Nathaniel Marshall. I want to see these three guys because I haven't watched them at all, and I want to kind of compare those games to Lance because I want to how is he maybe not the best edge rusher in the country? That's what I want to know, how he isn't, because he's fourth, right? What's the difference between him and those top three? That's something that I want to, after this week's over with, I'll go and do that. But
have you gotten to see any at all? Because we talked the other day about, do you have any thoughts on any of these offensive linemen? So the offensive linemen we talked about them yesterday was it yesterday or the day before on the show? I forgot what it was, but we had, we have Lamont Rogers coming in. There's also the Nick Brooks coming in. There's John Mills coming in, and then there's the is the A&M guy that you're writing up, Jonte Newman? Is he coming in officially?
So I've reached out to some people to see if Newman and Brooks are. I know Jason did as well. He hasn't heard anything back yet. So Jonte Newman and Nick Brooks were the two that were of question if they'll come in or not. Newman is committed to A&M, and Brooks just had a visit at USC last week. He's also got a lot of future casts for Iowa because he's from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. But those are the two offensive linemen that I had on my sheet. John Mills is one, though, that I know that Texas is deep in on. And that's one that you had to write up. What did you think of John Mills?
Did you say you're writing up Mills or I wrote him up?
I've
already watched him. So what though? I am. Did I write him up?
What'd you think of him? Yeah.
I like him least of all the guys coming in. I think Anwar doesn't. I think Anwar likes him a little bit more than me. Anwar's just a little bit spooked about Brooks weighing almost 400 pounds, being 380, 385 pounds. I do think, though, if what can I say about Mills? I think that he moves well enough. I think he's definitely a pure tackle. I think that he kicks to a good depth. You can see some good pass pro reps even on his huddle. Good hand placement, good initial punch. I do maybe think that you could. What was the way I said it? I can't find my write up right now. But I'm trying to think back. I think that one of the things that I said was that there were a couple little small balance issues that I think are perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. He's going to be fine. But and we have a super chat here that we'll get to in just a second. but I think I'm gonna certainly I like Lamont Rogers the best about the best, right? Of everybody coming in. After that, it gets hard for me. I think that Newman, I think Newman moves better than Mills, but he's smaller and he does. I don't think that I guess it just depends on how he fills out. Some of these guys that are slender, like Newman is, man, they actually really turn out good. Like maybe kind of like a Gooseby, what happened with him from his freshman to his sophomore year. But yeah, I mean, I think Mills is fine. And I think that if you were to have a class where they do land Fasusi, I think with the 3 guys they have, plus a Mills, plus a Fasusi, I think that that's a fine class. I'm not going to be comparing it to a 2022 offensive line class like I would compare it if Texas were to get Fasusi and Lamont Rogers, along with the supporting 3 that they currently have right now. Let's see. So
I got these numbers, by the way, for Jay Lee.
So for Jay Lee,
so the super chat was, how does Lance Jackson compare and contrast in size and skill wise to his bro?
And thank you for the super chat, Jay Lee. If anybody else wants to get their question answered before we get out of here, you can do it there.
At the same age, so Landon Jackson,
who's his brothers? Is Landon Jackson? Okay,
Landon Jackson, who's currently at Arkansas, had committed to LSU. Coming out, he was 6'6", 240. Currently at Arkansas, he's 6'7", 279. So that guy put on 39 pounds and gained an inch of height. And as we know, right now, Lance is 6'6", 260. So you can continue to see, that body has obviously some more room. They're pretty similar. As far as a prospect goes, I think Landon was a 4-star 5.8. He was a 13th ranked defensive end in the country. I haven't watched Landon personally. Do you remember him coming out in 2021 by any chance?
Yeah, he's a good player, man. I mean, I think you'll see I think what he's asking is more importantly, it's look at the guy who's a few years ahead in his development and look where he's at. So you're saying he came in at what? He came in at what size exactly?
6'6", 240. He's now 6'7", 279, and he's also currently projected on Mock Draft Database as the number 32 player overall, with some mocks in round 1 coming out of Arkansas.
Oh man, well you're going to do your work on him soon for your summer scouting and stuff. He's going in the first round. Golly. Okay, so dude, Lance Jackson is going to be too sick, man. That's a big time guy to have on campus, man. It's a big time guy to have on board, and he should be the kind of guy that some of these defensive players are rallying around and saying I want to be in the recruiting class with this dude. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like he carries that kind of sway. It's crazy to me. Maybe it's because he's such a good tight end too. You know what I mean? It's people are just what does he get play tight? That recruiting director that I was talking to said we would have recruited him as a tight end. He's that big of a game breaker. That's
he just turns into Tony Gonzalez.
It's just crazy to me, man. All right. About any of these other dudes, anybody else that you have watched from your list that I might not know as much about? I mean, I feel like we've talked. Do you have any Decorian Moore stuff that you want to get off your chest?
No, I mean, I just want to see how the weekend goes for these receivers. It's Decorian Moore, Dalen McCutcheon, who you guys have talked about this week already, at the wide receiver position, and then Kelshawn Johnson and Andrew Marsh are the 4 receivers coming in this weekend. So,
do you have a ranking for those guys?
Do I have a ranking of not all 4? No,
I think I would rank them as far as
DK, McCutcheon, Kelshawn, Marsh.
No, I'd have Marsh above Kelshawn.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think I might go, dude. You know what? I might go DK, Marsh, McCutcheon, Kelshawn. I would. Gosh, man, if Texas,
that's how the ratings have it.
It is okay.
Yeah.
Well, so that's probably right. Any thoughts on the other Texas commitment, Ricky Stewart? Because my guy says he's just too straight liney. And I'm like, what does that mean to you when somebody says this too straight liney? Because to me, I can understand it whenever I watch him. But then again, I look at his junior highlights. All I see is 10 minutes of dang highlights. You don't get a 10-minute highlight reel without being really good, really fast and good and stuff. And when people say he's too straight liney, to me, I'm just like, well, Chris Johnson was straight liney. Darren McFadden was straight liney. You can like that can work.
Latavius Murray.
Oh God, the most straight liney, right? Just one liney. But I mean, you can make it work going from level to level. The question is with Ricky Stewart, the Texas running back commitment, is people have questions about him being a day one difference maker. He's kind of wired. I think he only weighs 180 pounds, something like that. But he is fast. The worry is, can he create between the tackles on his own? And look, the fact of the matter is, whether you like him, whether you like him or not, whether you like his profile or not, whether you want to nitpick it, he is part of a 2-man recruiting class for Texas this year at the running back spot. And I do think that if you're going to be in the spot that Texas is in right now, they have some good young running backs on campus, some guys that you feel really good about. I think if you even consider the Ricky Stewart thing taking a swing, I think it's fine to take a swing on a guy like this because, Cody, if you watch him, and I'd be interested to hear what you think, if that kind of just take it home anytime he can touch the ball, and you wonder about like his shiftiness and stuff like that, or whether he just like gets it and just runs.
I'm not worried about his shiftiness at all.
Okay, not at all.
No, I mean, turn the tape on. Like too straight liney. Like I think the too straight liney thing might just be like his ankles seem a little tight, but they're running outside zones. They're running stretch plays to the sideline, and he doesn't have a problem. He doesn't have a problem. Yes, he shows a little bit of surface area. That'd be my worry. He's just a little bit of surface area. He doesn't really run.
Well, they run a ton of outside zone. Like he runs a ton of outside zone.
A ton of it, and he's good at cutting back up, and he gets to the sideline and goes north and south.
Once he gets that one cut, I do understand what my friend's saying about the straight line stuff.
For sure. But also, what's the quickest way to the end zone?
He's definitely one cut and go. Like he just kind of is.
He can be, yeah, but that's the quickest route. They tell you that the quickest route to the end zone is north south, right? Get your head north south, go. But like, there's other plays on here. I'm just letting it roll on the left side here, but there's tons of plays where he's going one way and he'll misdirect, come back around. Like he's not. I don't think he's definitely not Latavius Murray. He's definitely not McFadden. Tight, one direction. He's only 180 pounds. He's not a 220-pound stiff horse. Like that would be my analysis. Like is he, I don't know who I want to say. Is he Darren Sproles? No, but not a lot of people are. Not a lot of people have, elite change of direction. I'm not worried. I think he's a really good running back.
Kevin Wynn, we talked about John Mills. We talked about a little bit about Andrew Marsh, DeCorian Moore, Lance Jackson, Lamont Rogers. We talked a little bit about him. Dorian Brew. You have thoughts about this and what it means with the recent commitment of Caleb Chester, kind of similar to Dorian Brew. Just if you look at him from a pure size, both these dudes are tall, right? It feels like Texas is kind of going after these tall guys. Like Brew's rangy, he's long. He's already really built out. That's the one way he's a little bit different from it's Caleb Chester that just committed. Yes,
Caleb Chester did. Yeah,
was it yesterday or the day before? It doesn't matter. He just
day before he was on the show yesterday though.
That's right. You guys can go listen to that over at Orange Bloods Live for sure. And of course, the 300 of you that are in here right now, over 300 of you in here right now, if you could please like the show, subscribe to the channel, we would very, very, very much appreciate that. He's got his dad's an Olympic athlete. Both of his parents were professional track athletes. He runs in the 10.6s as far as his track times. He's played on both sides of the football. He's definitely going to be a corner, though. Super, super aggressive at the catch point. He's actually maybe a little bit too aggressive. I put up some clips on my write-up of him that just he's pretty handsy, pretty, you hear about these wide receivers having the my ball mentality. Dorian Brew, he's played both sides of the football. Like on defense, he has a my ball mentality. So it's a cool thing to see.
It would kind of be brutal to see both the two highest ranked cornerbacks from Texas both go to Ohio State.
Oh, if Devin Sanchez and Dorian Brew,
and he saved his final official visit next weekend for Ohio State. It's like,
is Devin Sanchez going to be there that weekend?
I can find out here in about 13 seconds. It looks like there's nothing on his page that shows.
Okay,
for Sanchez.
Well, he doesn't talk all too much apparently. Gosh, man, Devin Sanchez is a great player.
Don't got it when you're the top dog.
Dorian Brew is not as good as Devin Sanchez, but I'll bet you those two would like to go together as a tandem to create some kind of no-fly zone up there. Cody, any final thing you want to get to before we head out of here?
It's going to be a good weekend. Hopefully, we get some clear headway on some of these offensive linemen. Hopefully that they all come in. Nikolai Brooks and Jonte Newman being the two. Pettijohn feels like he's a favorite for Texas right now. Brandon Brown, I think that's my big thing is I just want to see how this thing kind of shakes out at the end. I want to see if we feel good about it come Sunday night, or if it's like, yeah, he's as good as on Tennessee, he's as good as on LSU at this point.
All right. So the final thing, what can we really? How would we? That's like I asked Jason. Like how do
you find that out?
No,
you have to be. This is all this. You have to. I mean, as a reporter or a journo, whatever you want to say, like the little opportunity that you get. I know, like Jason's out there grinding the streets. It's like I think that's just part of the questions that are asked. Is maybe you have to partially beat around the bush to get something out, but. It's kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like that, cockamamie question I asked at the combine this year to Callahan of the Tennessee Titans about Burks and Chase, right? It wasn't exactly a question about is Treylon Burks bad? Is Treylon Burks great? It was a question.
For people
I laid it up
talking about. You said you asked the new coach of the Tennessee Titans, Brian Callahan, who was previously the offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. You said, how do you compare this new wide receiver you're getting in Treylon Burks to the wide receiver that you used to have, Jamar Chase?
Yeah. And so
if people looked at you like you had three eyes, you said, what do you having to compare Burks to Chase?
and what I got out of it was him basically saying, I don't think that's a fair comparison because, Treylon Burks has a lot of development left to do. And he's not as far along in the developmental tier as Jamar Chase was. And people looked at me like I had, like you said, three eyes and something for a nose. And the point of that was that both of these guys were high-end SEC output receivers, first-round picks with high expectations, and one of them has met that, one of them has not, and they also have this one guy in common, which is Callahan being the OC in Cincinnati, now the head coach in Tennessee. And so why I bring that up is sometimes you have to ask a question that's kind of like that. So for like Brandon Brown, if I was going to ask him a question after this visit, I would maybe ask him something along the lines of you've had Bo Davis recruit you to Texas. Now Kenny Baker's here. What is maybe something that, that these guys have in common or they're different with, or what is something that Bo Davis has showed you at Texas that Kenny Baker has, or what, you have to play. I would play around with that. That would personally be one of my questions for him, would be something along the lines of Kenny Baker and Bo Davis. But I think that they're, I trust Jason. I trust everybody else going through this whole process. I think we're going to learn some stuff about Brandon Brown this weekend about what that commitment really means.
It's going to be completely covered over there at orangebloods.com. As for us here on the Old Fashioned Show, going to be a little bit of a rotating cast of characters here through. Like I got some vacation stuff that I'm beginning to do right after we get done here. Or I guess, Cody, we got to record a roster watch show, right? And then I'm going to be out of here for a while. But we'll be back for a few days next week before I leave again. And then I'll be back for like another day or two the week after before I leave again. And then we're all back and locked in after the 4th of July. So it should be a whole lot of fun. Of course, we'll have House Divided today's Thursday. So maybe we'll have a mod. I don't know if am I going to be around for them? I'm not sure I'm going to be around for the modcast, but there will be. I'll actually need to check with Catch about that. So look, that's where we are. That's what we're going to be flexible. Hopefully you guys can be too, but definitely House Divided coming up here a little bit later. So thanks so much to everybody for joining us today. Thanks to everybody in the chat for your super chats, for being here with us again. Please like the show, subscribe to the channel. We certainly would appreciate that. Thanks to Texas Beef Traders. Thanks to Eric Sells Homes DFW. And thanks, of course, to Specs for providing us with the awesome Specs chat line. We'll see you guys next time. For Cody, I'm Alex. It'll be soon enough. I promise. We will see you again right here on Orange Bloods.